Hello everyone, welcome to the new video where I'll show you how to tattoo an old school rose. I'll try to keep this video as short as possible. If you enjoy this type of tutorial, please show your support with a like and a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future tutorials. First, I press the stencil, making sure to apply the stencil stuff very thinly and evenly. I tattoo the design in a way that you can see it well to provide a better view and try to minimize moving the stencil. After applying the stencil, I use a hairdryer for 5 minutes to make sure the stencil sticks well and is difficult to remove. Instead of black ink, I'm using the darkest Sumi gray ink. This ink is advantageous because it's slightly thinner, making it easier to work into the skin. I'll wait to pour the other colors as they could dry out in the meantime, but I've already prepared the color cups. This is a 7-round liner. I adjust it so that it looks as far out of the module as possible. When you start drawing the first line, be cautious with the depth. If the line isn't solid enough, go a bit deeper until you find the right depth and try to maintain that depth. I'll overlay the color cups to show you which needle I'm currently using. I use a size 7-round liner for lining and a size 9-round shader for thicker lines. When I use thin needles, anything from a 7-round liner to a 3-round liner, I turn the needle as far out of the module as possible. This allows for precise work, but it only works with very thin inks. I'll now draw the lines from the first sheet and leave it at real speed, then I'll speed up the video to keep it short. For thicker needles, I adjust the depth so that the needle is mostly outside the module, but enough ink still falls onto the skin. This means you can turn the needle slightly further into the module if you need more ink to flow. When tattooing on real skin, the ink spreads into the skin pores, making it automatically more solid than on artificial skin. Unfortunately, I only have very hard and thin artificial skin. For designs that require solid color fill, I recommend using softer artificial skin. Do you have any recommendations for the best type of artificial skin? Let me know in the comments if you do. I'm skipping the rest of the lines, but make sure to do each line as meticulously as you can, always using the correct needle. Now a quick clean and we're done with the lining. Now pour the remaining colors. You could add 1 or 2 drops of sterile water to each color cup to thin out the consistency of the ink. Since the new EU regulations on inks, all the old colors was banned because of the ingredients, and I'm not very happy with the new one. Do you have inks that meet the EU standards and are you satisfied with them? Or do you feel like the quality of inks has decreased since these regulations? What's the situation with inks in your country? Are you allowed to use the old inks as before, or are there new guidelines? Here's a look at the back of the artificial skin. It should look like this, even though the skin is very thin. If you see very dark spots in some areas, it means you went too deep. When working with colors, it's crucial to work from dark to light. In my case, the darkest color is green, so I start with that. Solid fill may look easier than it is. The most common mistake I see in tattoo beginners is overworking the skin. To avoid this, try to go deep enough with the color on the first pass. If you start too shallow, you'll damage the top layer of skin and you'll have to go over it multiple times to get it to hold. So Don't be afraid to go a bit deeper. It's just challenging if you're not sure how deep to go. If you take your time with the Magnum needle when starting, you can work nicely on the edges. If that seems too difficult, you can always use a thinner needle to work solidly along the edges. I've been tattooing for 9 years and still use thin needles to create clean edges. In my opinion, trying to achieve perfect edges with a Magnum wastes a lot of time. I've skipped the other leaves with the green shade to keep the video short. I'm mixing the green with dark sumi for a darker shade. As a tattoo beginner, I would advise against mixing colors in the module and recommend using a separate color cup with a darker shade of green instead. I'm doing this for all the leaves, but I'll speed it up a bit. Now, onto the red. Here, I'm filling in the larger areas with a soft edge Magnum and trying not to waste too much time on the edges. I can work on the edges in the next step with a round shader. I missed a leaf at the top, which should be green. Did you notice it, or was it just me? It's not a big deal. I just need to make sure I apply enough Vaseline over the red ink to avoid getting green spots in the red. Vaseline makes it easier to wipe off the color. Now I'm using a size 9 round shader to work on the edges everywhere. Don't skip this step, as it gives the entire design a clean look. Now onto the brown. We need a nice transition from dark to light, so I'm using the same technique as in my shading tutorial. I'll link to it in the video description. In summary, it involves movements that should be soft, both going into and coming out of the skin to prevent visible edges in the fill. I have a water cup where I can rinse my needle, and for shading lighter tones, I can dilute the ink with sterile water. Using ink without dilution makes it challenging to achieve a smooth shading. Once we've done that, we just need to clean our stencil by rubbing it with Vaseline. Unfortunately, some parts of the stencil are still visible, and I couldn't completely remove them. I hope I could provide you with some tips, and hopefully we'll see you in a new video soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you don't want to miss anything. Thanks for watching.